Welcome back. On Monday, the Bahamas Statistical Institute released its Consumer Price Index for November 2023, and it revealed the monthly inflation rate in the Bahamas declined by 0.2% when compared to the previous month of October 2023. Again, the Consumer Index shows the overall price of items purchased by consumers during the specified period. According to the report, after a 0.1 increase in October of 2023, there were major decreases in the cost of clothing, footwear, transportation, furnishings, household equipment, and maintenance in November of 2023. However, despite the overall decrease in November, there was a small increase in the purchase of alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and medications in November. Meanwhile, compared to November 2022, the Consumer Price Index indicated an overall 2% increase in price when it comes to healthcare, seeing the biggest jump by some 9.3%, followed by furniture and household equipment up 6.4% over November of 2022. Transportation in November 2023 had the largest decrease of 9.9% compared to November in 2022. Gasoline in November 2023 saw a decrease of 0.5% when compared to the same price of gas in October of 2023, while diesel prices saw an increase of 3.8% for the same period. In the meantime, economists continue to monitor several major conflicts that could have a negative impact on global shipping and result in rising prices for consumers once again. With the issue of crime continuing to wreak havoc on the way of life here in the Bahamas, many have taken to social media to voice their concerns and disappointment, with much of the blame being placed at the feet of the government. On Monday, while at the National Training Agency on Gladstone Road, Minister of Labor and Public Services Pia Glover responded to the negative reaction some citizens have regarding the government's handling of the crime issues. She says the government can't do it alone.
But most importantly, we have to look at it from a community perspective. Even what I'm doing here today in terms of my conclave is a part of the solution. Guiding, ensuring that we're building the right programs in government, specifically through the Department of Labor. We have the National Apprenticeship Program that's going to be rolled out this year once it's passed in Parliament. That speaks to harnessing the young people, giving them direction, training, grooming, mentorship. That's important in our society. So all of the programs that the government is building is in a way seeking to address our cultural, our societal challenges. But at this point, we're seeing a manifestation of what I think is a breakdown in what used to be the village that raised the children.
Minister Glover also says more attention must be placed on reform for those that may have fallen between the cracks and found themselves on the wrong side of the law.
It is extremely distressing. It's distressing because even as we sit as a government, you see the comments and people say the government isn't doing. But I think that we're all doing so much. The Royal Bahamas Police Force is absolutely doing the best work that they can. The government is strategizing along with the opposition to determine how are we going to hold this crime situation to the point where we can get rid of it, where we can help our offenders, because that's also a part of the problem. We keep hearing about persons out on bail. So that speaks to recidivism in terms of the reformation of our criminals through our prison system. We have to speak to the reform there.
Minister Glover said it is unfortunate we are no longer our brother's keepers, and we no longer take accountability for our own actions, which are some of the answers to reducing the high rates of crime that we have here in country. While making a recent presentation of 5 desktop computers to the Adelaide Primary School, Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas, Jcn News, commented on the statement made by Member of Parliament for Golden Isles and Minister of Environment, Vaughn Miller, who pointed out that some students lose their way and fall into crime and antisocial behavior after leaving primary school. She encouraged the students to become good citizens. She also wanted them to know that China is a friend to the Bahamas.
the minister raised a very serious subject of fighting crime. I think only by focusing on the study, only by turning yourself into a proper citizen who is properly educated, can we avoid the serious issue of crime in this country. So I do hope all of you will study hard and turn out to be the adult that you all want to be. I have a role model and study toward your goal. And also I want to conclude by saying to all of you that China is a friend to the Bahamas, and the Chinese people are friends to the Bahamian people. You are proud to be Bahamian, I'm sure. Are you proud to be Bahamian? Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I'm proud to be Chinese. So is my colleague. And our countries are far away from each other, much farther away than from my embassy to Adelaide Primary School. And we have different skin color, different religious belief, but essentially we are all human beings, and we are united, and the world will be a better place.
Minister Miller pointed out that there is a disconnect at some point in the school system after students leave primary school.
We know the many challenges that our country, particularly here on the island of New Providence, that we're going through socially. And it amazes me, Madam Principal, that all of them, all of the criminals, at one point, at some point, they sat where these students are sitting. They attended a primary school somewhere. They went to a high school somewhere. It is sad, it is unfortunate that of all the inmates in our correctional facility, it is said that 90% of them are under the age of 35.
Miller went on to speak about some of the challenges at the high school levels and its impact on our society. He says it is a trend that has to be dealt with.
And of that 90%, of that, almost 90% of them do not have a high school diploma. That is sad. That is an indictment on our society. It's an indictment on our educational system. But it begins here. And usually at this level, they do well. It's when they emerge and graduate from primary school, somewhere in the area of middle school, by the time they get to high school, they'd have lost their way, our male students. That's a problem, that's a challenge, and that's what us men must deal with. And we intend to do that.
Again, the Chinese ambassador and Minister Miller were speaking during a recent event at the Adelaide Primary School. And finally, the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services is conducting a recruitment exercise as they look to bolster the number of male and female officers at the prison. To be eligible, you must be a Bahamian citizen between 18 and 30 years old with a minimum of 5 BJCs, including English language, and a clean police record. All applicants, the forms, they should be retrieved, or you can collect them at the correctional facility on Fox Hill Road. Your application forms are to be submitted no later than February 15th. For further information, you can visit the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, or you can visit their website. Last month, the prison service held a long overdue promotion that saw 154 officers promoted, including 77 recruits promoted to officers. Now the prison is ready to have its new cohort of officers as the improvements continue at that facility. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.